welcome to my top 10 favorite TV shows of 2021. I know this video is late because TV shows I wanted to finish first, and there's still loads of TV shows that I haven't finished seasons of. And I'll be including recurring seasons from other shows, and also brand new series and mini-series from 2021 as well. 2022, let's hope we get some more great TV shows, loads I'm excited for, but I'm going to be talking about my 10 favorites from 2021. There are still a few that I didn't finish. Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 8. I love that season. I love that show so much, but I haven't made it to season 8 yet. There is one show I didn't include on the list that did start in 2021, but it doesn't finish till 2022, and that's The Book of Boba Fett, which I'm really enjoying so far. And there was a few more as well that I haven't started that I wanted to. But besides that, let's get on with my top 10 favorite TV shows of 2021. Number 10, Star Wars Visions. Star Wars Visions I thought was great. It was basically an anime short film series with 9 different shorts, focusing on a different anime style in the Star Wars universe. There are a few episodes that I thought were kind of weak, and a few that I thought were generally fantastic. Episode 5, The Ninth Jedi, and Episode 1, The Duel, were personal favorites. I loved how each episode was a completely different style of anime. I loved the storytelling. I loved how dark some of the episodes were. I love some of the action sequences, the style. If you're a fan of anime and you're a fan of Star Wars, this is going to perfectly mesh. If you're a fan of stuff like the Clone Wars, this is great as well. It's not necessarily Star Wars and stuff like that, where it doesn't have any recurring characters wherein this is completely new, completely unique, and I really loved it. This was basically 9 anime shorts in the Star Wars universe that I thought were all relatively good. Number 9, What If? The Marvel animated series What If showcased stories of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies and put a question, what if, to it. And I thought they did a great job of telling us different alternative versions of what could have happened. There were some episodes, especially at the beginning, that I thought were actually relatively bad. They just changed a character around and didn't change the story, and there was no repercussions. But later on, I believe after the Doctor Strange episode, they got so good. The animation was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And the final 2 episodes I thought were probably 2 of the best as well. 8, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This show was Marvel's the MCU's second attempt to bring in 2 characters from its previous movies and make a miniseries about them, and I think the show didn't necessarily work as well as a miniseries as it could have done. It worked way better, I thought, as a season 1 to a show with these 2 characters. I like how it felt like a buddy cop type of drama series, and everything involving that I thought was excellent. Seeing Zemo back was great, and some of the episodes, especially episode 5, I thought were exceptional. But there was just way too many plot lines going on for these 6 episodes to focus on, and the finale was very lacking to me, even though it had some good character moments. So I thought Falcon Winter Soldier was the weakest of the Marvel shows, of the live-action Marvel shows released this year, but I still thought it was pretty damn good, and definitely a lot better than what the drama in the movies is like. Number 7, Hawkeye. Hawkeye, in my eyes, was just one of the more perfect shows across the board because it didn't necessarily have many missteps. Every episode was around the same sort of quality for me, and I liked how it twined into other Marvel shows that are more now coming closer into the MCU. But mostly what I liked about this was that it actually gave Hawkeye a spotlight. He's also been one of the most interesting characters in the MCU because he's just the everyman in these situations, and he's never really had his time to fully shine until now. And also we get his really likable partner, Kate Bishop, in the mix, who is one of my new favorite characters in the MCU. The finale was easily the best MCU finale of the TV shows they have done so far. And even though this wasn't the most unique or the most interesting or the grandest story that the MCU shows have done, it's just a simple, sweet Christmas story, each episode leading up to Christmas Day. And it was just a pretty nice action series that was feel-good, funny, and had enough great action to spare, and gave us some great time with this character. Number 6, Cowboy Bebop. So many people hated this show because it was either too similar or too different to the anime. Me, I haven't seen all the anime. I've seen a few episodes, but I don't have this big nostalgia for it. This was my first exposure to the characters, to the world, to the story, and I loved it. I had a great time. I thought the filmmaking was fantastic, the music, the style. There were a few things that could have been shifted around for sure, and a few things from the anime I'm assuming people didn't like. But what mainly this show worked for me is because I had a different experience with it than everyone else. I wasn't watching this comparing it to something else, I was watching it as its own thing, and for that I thought it was actually pretty good. Is when I go back and watch the whole anime, am I going to realize, yeah, maybe this actually kind of sucks? But the fact that it worked on its own, the fact that I watched it and was invested in it and enjoyed it without having seen the anime, that it worked perfectly fine for what it is, I can't necessarily put it in that much disregard or claim the issues that many other people have with it. But my thoughts on this may change, but overall, I really want a season two because this is definitely one of the best live action anime adaptations we've had ever, pretty much. And I hope it continues. I have issues with it still, and I may have more when I see the anime in full, but overall, I generally like this a lot. Number five, Rick and Morty season five. Rick and Morty is one of my continuous favorite animated shows. It's just so wacky, hilarious, crude, and I love these two characters, especially Rick. And season five had a few of the most standout episodes. It also had some of the weaker ones as well. I thought this series again had a lot of the same issues I had with season four. So that in a way they're kind of running out of ideas, but in a way the ideas that they're bringing across are so unique that but the episodes are sort of becoming more stale in their tone than they were in the first three series. But I still love Rick and Morty. They could make hundreds and hundreds of seasons of this, and I'll never get bored. And I will always enjoy what they bring us, as long as we get to spend more wacky adventures with these two characters. And I absolutely adored what season five brought as well. And there hasn't necessarily been any season of Rick and Morty I think is devoured in quality. So yeah, absolutely loved seeing more Rick and Morty, and I hope we get some season six soon. I hope we get that live action one as well. That looks pretty interesting. Number four, Superstore season six. As I said, I didn't finish the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine yet. It hasn't released in my country, but I did finish Superstore season six, which is an American sitcom series about a bunch of um, people working in a superstore called Clyde Noun, and season six was its final season. It was shot during COVID, and this season focused a lot on the workers' hardships during COVID. And even though I think the series had a decline, I love sitcoms. I love workplace sitcoms like The Office and stuff like that. And this was honestly one of the really good ones, and I watched it during the COVID time period. And this series came out halfway between 2020 and halfway between 2021, but it generally had one of the best final closing episodes I've seen. It had a great representation of what the pandemic was like for workers. It was really, really funny. It put some lightheartedness on the overall show, and even though one leading character didn't return for a lot of this season, which was a shame, they did come back in the end, and it was a nice conclusion, and it generally had a perfect final episode. And I can't really complain with a show that has a perfect ending. It was short but sweet. I definitely prefer some of the earlier episodes of this show, but I think it is worth watching. It is one of the better workplace sitcoms I've seen, and I thought this final season was really uplifting and really funny at the same time, and I thought it had a perfect conclusion, so I had to put it up here, and I had a great time watching it, and I'm not going to lie, I teared up at the end. Number three, Squid Game. Squid Game was definitely a big international thing this year, and I'm glad it was. I'm glad that a Korean series, especially one of this quality, got so much international recognition across the globe, and I thought it was magnificent. The final episode, unfortunately, did not work for me, but everything else I thought was great. There was one episode, especially I think it was episode six, the marbles episode, that I've not felt that white knuckled in a long time. It was so gripping. These games were intense, they were beautifully shot. There were a few things I didn't necessarily like about the show towards the end. As I said, some twists, some reveals, some of the dialogue, and do not watch the show dubbed. Make sure you watch in subtitles because it sounds terrible dubbed. But overall, I did find the show very, very compelling. I thought its social themes were engaging. I liked all the games leading up to it. It's ultra violent, it's ultra intense. It's exactly what you want, like a short series to be, a series of extremely intense games where characters just get eliminated one by one. It's really intense, and I liked how unique the concept was in a way as well. So I thought Squid Game was great, and I think everyone should check it out. But I was disappointed by the final episode, and but the rest of them were great. And actually, being disappointed by the final episode comes into my next show as well, which is number two, which is WandaVision. WandaVision, I thought was a miraculous um, array of showcasing sitcoms throughout the decades and also giving us a nice romance and mystery between our two lead characters, and had loads of little complex ideas thrown in between with sci-fi and fantasy and MCU stuff thrown about. And all the sitcom episodes I absolutely adored. They were fantastic, they were unique, they were wonderful, there was mystery, there was intense, there was something about them that just felt so unique that we haven't seen the MCU achieve before. But the final episode was just so MCU formula, it got really tired, and I didn't like the finale at all. It left too many loose ends, and as a mini-series, it doesn't necessarily work as a whole anymore. But I will say the sitcom episodes were some of my favorite meta things I've seen this year. They were so fun, so funny, so unique, so wonderful, and WandaVision was definitely a delightful experience, besides the finale. Number one, Loki. Loki, again, is my favorite show of 2021. I absolutely adored it. I think the Loki character is phenomenal. And here, Tom Hiddleston really steps it up, and also the variant of himself, Sylvie, and them two relationship really crafted a really core, great relationship for a series to follow. And each of the Marvel shows we've seen this year have focused on a duo of characters, and I wasn't expecting Loki to do that. But the drama, the complexity in its ideas, the unique world building, the time traveling detective story was just so fantastic to me, and I loved it. The multiversal thing crashing about, it was just so well done, and it's definitely the best directed I've seen the MCU handle. The cinematography in this show is marvelous. It looks way better than majority of the movies that we've seen the MCU portray, and definitely the acting and the score and the just simple things like the editing and the way scenes are crafted together was some of the most unique stuff in the MCU for sure. And I thought the story was magnificent. Unfortunately, again, like my other two series I mentioned, the finale was lacking to me. It just felt like a big exposition dump explaining everything with setup for a second season. And I'm glad we're getting a second season, but the final episode didn't have to suffer because of it. And that was a shame to me. It was definitely a shocking final episode with how it ended, but I wasn't happy with the way it just sort of dumped everything on you, unfortunately. But I still loved the rest of the show, and I thought it was magnificently made. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the show continues. And they're my 10 favorite TV series of 2021. Make sure you comment down below your favorite shows of the year, any recommendations you have. There are still a few that I want to get through, but there goes. Thank you for watching.